Hey there, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Chris, and this is the Batman Arkham Origins Spotlight. Now, before we get into it, because this is the very first Spotlight that I'm going to be doing, and I plan on doing several more as the years go by, I want to go ahead and just touch on what you guys can expect out of this series. Now, first and foremost, I am not a professional, and this is not a review. I'm calling it a spotlight because I do not like the connotation that the term review gives, because I am not a professional. I'm just a guy behind a computer giving you my honest-to-God thoughts and critiques on video games that I play, so just take that with a grain of salt. I also will not be giving any games in my spotlights scores. I feel like scores are an asinine way of judging a game. I feel like they do the game as an entertainment piece, as an art piece, a complete disservice, because if you've ever watched a movie that you really enjoyed and saw the critics' ratings of it, you will completely understand that they are not always shall we say, correct for how good the piece is of itself. So I don't want to do that with video games. I feel like we need to actually treat these games properly by actually seeing the pros and cons as pieces being put together rather than just a stupid little score that can be put up on Metacritic. And that also goes really well for Batman Arkham Origins because this is clearly a port from the consoles to the PCs. Although it was released at the same time, you will note while playing the game that there are plenty of things that show that this was made for consoles and then translated for the PC. All the reviews are predominantly going to be reflecting the console game, and there's a big difference, as you will see, when it comes to bugs and glitches for the PC version. So this is hopefully to help air out some of those issues for you guys. And lastly, in all of my spotlights, I'm going to be trying to give as much disclosure as I possibly can. If I get a game for free through Steam codes, or they give it to me ahead of time, or what have you, I will let you know. You will always know exactly, so you never have to feel like I'm giving a positive grade or a negative grade because I've been bought off or what have you. You will always know that I'm being 100% professional with you guys, and this is just my honest-to-God opinion. So you never have to worry that I'm just some guy just, being bought off to give an opinion or to promote a game. That's just never going to happen. You know you can always trust me. But with all that said, let's go ahead and just jump right on in to my spotlight. This is the beginning of Arkham Origins. I'm going to go ahead and start listing out the very first stuff that I actually really enjoyed about the game, then we'll move on to cons later. But the first thing that I truly love about the game is its writing.
Cordially, cordially, you are very cordially invited to a party.
And it will be a grand affair.
Grand affair, grand affair.
And it will be a grand affair hosted by the Hatter.
Now, Gotham PD thinks Roman Sionis is dead. The casualty of a turf war. Murdered by the Penguin.
The writing in Batman Arkham Origins is by far and away the most impressive thing about it. The storyline integrates tons of iconic Batman villains and introduces new ones as well. The only downside to so many enemies is that many of them never get the stage time they really deserve to feel their sense of threat to you as Batman or to the city as a whole. That being said, the wonderful writing is supported by a team of great voice actors who do an incredible job of fleshing out and bringing their characters to life. The other big thing I enjoyed about Batman Arkham Origins was the graphics and animations. Amazing graphics and fluid animations have been a major selling point of this Batman series since Arkham Asylum in 2009, and Origins does not disappoint that legacy. The graphics do a great job of feeling impact in punches and kicks in combat. The combat, though, is enjoyable, but over time it shows itself to be too simplistic and quickly gets boring. You're constantly being thrown in front of enemies that only take time to defeat and not skill. But when you do finally hit a challenging fight and die, you're treated to some more of that amazing writing.
Know that you die with honor, which is more than can be said for most.
Little delicious tidbits of writing like that are littered throughout the game, but unfortunately it's not enough to save itself. The pros to the game end here. We must now turn to some glaring cons and issues with the game, the biggest of which are bugs and glitches that can be found all throughout the game. Firstly, we can see Batman trapped here by the complex idea of letting go of a bat hook now that he has pulled himself as far as he can go. Or here, where the entire idea of listening to Alfred's grand advice is completely lost on Batman. And we can see another glitch here, where Batman fails to interrogate a suspect just because his hands are in his face.
Okay.
Batman's also always been known for his acrobatics, but unfortunately this time he can't even find his way into a vent. Come on, Batman, you can do it. Pull yourself up. No, not happening. I I guess even Batman gets tired of the sound of his own voice from time to time because he doesn't want to speak throughout this entire cutscene that I had to watch. And again, we can see here, Batman confused by the idea of moving heavy objects off of grates just so he can be able to open them. Even when the game isn't buggy, it still has its issues. The world is dark, but it comes off bland and empty rather than sinister or imposing. The map is the largest in the series to date, which sounds like a good thing, but remember, this is a game based on comics. Comics are wonderful because of their rich colors and they're completely story-driven. Origins attempts to give you freedom by handing you a map to explore, but it's entirely lifeless, with no cars to dodge, no innocents walking the street, or small-time heists to stop in progress. There are the odd criminal activities that you can hear over the police radio, but they are nothing more than a collection of simple thugs standing in a mob, waiting for you to stop them. The open world becomes a chore, one made even worse when you realize many of the collectibles are not even accessible until very late in the game, due to the bat tech that must be unlocked first. The world slows the pacing of the game down and causes it to lose focus. Batman is not a character from GTA and should not have an incredibly open world to mess around in, especially when it's so boring and empty. With the story being so strong, it's a shame they tried to make Batman into something it shouldn't be. The game then suffers from poor design decisions and rushed production. The slow pacing caused by the lackluster world, tons of simple enemies never giving you a challenge, and the repetitive combat keeps the game from reaching what it should be. The glitches, bugs, and broken things that I have shown were only recorded within the first couple hours of play, and many players have even reported falling through the world only to find their game auto-saved and they now lost their entire playthrough. This is one of the issues with making games for one platform and not giving it the time it needs to be tested when ported to another. Tack on the need to backtrack to do all the collecting, and gimmicks like steam from broken pipes to dodge, and we find ourselves with a game that's half-tested and has mixed directions. With some patches, the bugs can be fixed, but the game still suffers from lack of direction. Is it a story-driven thrill ride, or an open world with creative ways of tackling big and small-time criminals? I guess we'll certainly find out when the next game releases, but I know where I prefer the series be taken. In the end, I wouldn't suggest that PC gamers pick this game up until we hear that bugs and glitches are fixed. When the holiday sales roll around, check the forums and see if they've been addressed. If you focus on the story, there's plenty to enjoy, but be prepared to deal with what can be slow pacing and possibly repetitive combat. It's all based on your taste and style of gaming. If you enjoyed this little spotlight, please like, favorite, and subscribe. Feel free to make suggestions about other games that you want covered in the future. If you want to help out another average gamer like yourself, please share this video with friends and family that might enjoy it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.
Yeah, he's here! Here! I lost him!